Hello, brave souls. Welcome. I am Alicia, and I am the founder of Appalachia Lightworker Paranormal. If you are new here, I am a spiritual life coach, a Reiki Master, an intuitive energy healer, and more. I'm also a paranormal investigator. And much of the work I do does sit at the intersection of spiritual healing and the paranormal world. I do feel like this is part of who I am and my mission here on earth. Tonight I want to talk to you about a theory that blends in both of these worlds together. So in spiritual healing and in the paranormal world. This is something called Soul Fragments. And this is about how trauma and energy may sometimes be connected to what we may experience as a haunting or residual activity or an energetic time loop. So if you are joining me live tonight, say hello in the comments and let me know where you are watching from. So I'm setting the intention of tonight before we begin. I want to set a clear intention for this conversation. Tonight is not about fear. It is about understanding, compassion, and healing. So we're going to be talking again about soul fragments, the theory of soul fragments, and how trauma energy may sometimes be connected to what we experience as hauntings, residual activity, and energetic time loops. When we explore paranormal activity through the lens of energy, consciousness, sometimes we discover it's not something evil or something malice. Sometimes it is simply just energy that has not yet found peace. So what are soul fragments? So as a trained Reiki Master, intuitive healer, I do have shaman training, and I do this, this is my everyday job. I work in the world of spiritual healing. I also work with frequency and energy medicine, energy healing. So that's what I do every day. And then sometimes I'm a paranormal investigator who also uses Lightworker healing abilities within that world. So a soul fragment, in many spiritual traditions and healing practices, there is a concept that when a person experiences deep trauma, and whether that trauma is physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, it can cause shock, grief, and intense emotional pain. Something happens energetically. The experience can become so overwhelming that the soul's energy splits or fragments in order to survive the moment. So something traumatic happens physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And like a mirror shattering, a piece of glass shattering, the soul itself shatters. Earlier this evening over on my healing energy website or Facebook, Appalachia Gypsy Healing Arts, we were talking about calling these soul fragments back to ourselves. See, the thing about paranormal investigating, when I merge these two worlds together, the spiritual energy healing and the paranormal world, sometimes the energy we are experiencing in these homes, I believe, are not actually a soul or a full soul. Sometimes I think we can be experiencing energy that is actually part of a human being that is still living. And I think it also can be a soul fragment from a soul in the past. And this is where I think we get a lot of that residual energy, kind of like the energies in a time loop. That also, I think, has a lot to do with the soul fragment theory. that it's not actually a full soul, that sometimes it's just a fragment of the soul that's shattered during that traumatic experience. Throughout training and being in the spiritual energy healing world for over the past decade, I have heard this called soul fragmentation, soul loss, disassociated energy, or trauma imprints. So if, there's a lot of paranormal theories out there when it comes to hauntings and residual energy and imprints. I know a friend of mine talks about the stone tape theory, because stone, rock, crystal can actually hold energy. And so there's a belief that it's just the energy trapped inside those stones, that it's really not even a soul, or this means it could not even be a soul fragment. But a soul fragment is believed the soul shatters, and it's more of an energetic imprint of consciousness tied to the moment of deep emotional intensity. Think of it as a piece of awareness that became stuck in time, still holding the emotion, the memory, and the energy of that exact moment. And sometimes I think that's why we have the experience, why we're investigating, that the soul is telling us a particular story. Because it fell down the stairs, they were hung, something. Because, and it's not just in their death, sometimes it's the experience they experienced before they died. So yes, a soul fragment can be from a person that already has passed, or I believe that it can be a living being, and a piece of their soul is still stuck somewhere, waiting in stillness, waiting in that memory, in that energy of that moment, holding that emotion, looking for healing, looking for peace. So whether the soul fragment is with a living human being or with somebody that's passed on, it's the same thing. It's still holding the emotion, the memory, and the energy of the moment it experienced that deep emotional intensity. So energy does not disappear. If a fragment of consciousness is tied to a location where the trauma occurred, that energy can sometimes remain connected to that space. This may show up as to investigators as residual hauntings, time loop phenomenon, if I can say that word, emotional imprints to locations, repeating sounds or movements, energetic disturbances. In some cases, what people perceive as a haunting may actually be an energetic replay of that moment frozen in time. So that's deep emotional intensity. That soul fragment is still holding that emotion, holding that memory, holding in that moment, and it's just frozen in time. It's not necessarily a spirit's intention haunting a place, but the energy this energy has never been resolved or released. And that's what I feel like as a light worker, as an energy healer, that is also a paranormal investigator. That is part of my efforts in this world, in this paranormal world, is to help these spirits find peace, these soul fragments find peace, so they do not have to keep holding on, so they can find healing, so they can find release, and they can have that emotional experience resolved. I'm also going to be sharing with you guys some ways that you as investigators, or you as a homeowner that may be experiencing some of these situations, that you too can give guidance in that situation and bring healing to that situation. So what is the difference between spirits and fragments? Not everything in the paranormal is the same. It's very multi-layered. In my experience working in both energy healing and paranormal investigation, there can be different types of activity, spiritual presence, conscious spirits that can communicate. These spirits, I believe, are higher, how I classify them, I should say, how I choose to classify them for myself. Spirits are higher dimensional beings. Souls were once attached to a body, and then you have entities, and in the world of entities, you also have just different layers of energy there. Everything is energy. Then you have residual energy. This event records energetically in a place like a tape replaying over and over again. A soul fragment is a piece of consciousness still holding on to emotional trauma, physical trauma. It can be there for multiple reasons. A soul fragment may not even realize that time has passed. They're very stuck in the moment they experience that. So yes, this can be in their death. So as again, I'll say, I think a soul fragment can be connected to somebody who has passed on. I also believe a soul fragment can be from a living person when they experience emotional trauma and a piece of their soul fragmented off and stayed there. It can remain energetically tied to the moment when the trauma occurred. My experience as an energy healer, as a Reiki Master, intuitive energy worker, I have encountered situations where fragments of energy seem to be seeking resolution, comfort, and guidance. When these situations are approached with compassion, respect, sometimes these energies can respond and they will heal, and there will be resolution. And this can be through prayer, energy healing, intention, just acknowledging it, and guidance towards rest. This is a goal, it's the goal not to force anything. The goal is to not force the energy. The goal is to offer peace, understanding, and direction. Sometimes simply acknowledging the energy and inviting it towards wholeness, it can rest, it will shift, the entire atmosphere of the place will change. Compassion instead of fear, understanding, grace. One of the most important things I want people to understand is soul fragments exist, and they are not monsters. They are not evil. They are simply pieces of consciousness that experience pain and have become stuck in the moment. I do believe souls and soul fragments can almost evolve into something that seems darker, into something that might seem heavier, but it comes from the wound, it comes from the trauma, from the moment that they are stuck in. They are not evil. Just like living people, energy can carry wounds, and sometimes, a lot of times, healing is possible even beyond the physical world. So how, as a paranormal investigators or a homeowner or a person that owns a space that seems to be experiencing this kind of energy, how can we approach this? Instead of confrontation or fear, we can approach the locations with compassion, awareness, spiritual grounding, energetic protection, and intention to help rather than provoke, and to take a moment of stillness and a moment of peace where it's not so much as capturing the evidence as it is understanding what's actually happening. Sometimes the most powerful tool as an investigator it's not having the equipment going, it's just presence and compassion. I want you to reflect on this one question tonight. What if some hauntings are not meant to just scare us? What if these situations that we're being drawn to isn't just about the capturing the evidence, making sure that we can prove a haunting? Or what if, and it's not just what we can experience, what if we're being called into this for something much deeper? And that is to bring moments of unresolved pain into resolution and wholeness, to help this energy find peace. So I'm going to close tonight with a prayer, and I'm going to post this prayer also on my Facebook page here at Appalachia Lightworker Paranormal. So if you want to use it during an investigation, or if you want to use it in your home or in your space that you feel has an energy that needs help, this is a good prayer to use. But I want to close tonight out with it. And so it is. So before you even pray this, wherever you're at, whether you're an investigator, a homeowner, whatever it may be, just take a deep breath in through your nose. Blow out through your mouth. And you can ground yourself. You can picture roots growing from your feet into the ground, helping you ground. And then just simply pray. Divine source of all light, love, and creation. As we're here tonight to close this gathering, we ask that your peace extend across all spaces, all timelines, and all realms of existence. For any energy, spirit, or soul fragment that may still be carrying the weight of pain, confusion, fear, or unfinished emotion, we send compassion, understanding, and gentle guidance. May every fragment, piece of consciousness remember the truth of its origins, that it was created from light and love. If there are fragments that remain tied to moments of trauma, sorrow, or shock, we ask that they be surrounded now with healing presence. May they be comforted. May they be guided. May they find the path toward rest, reunion, and wholeness. Let the spaces that hold echoes of the past be filled with peace. Let every soul find its way home to the fullness of divine self. And may those of us who walk the path of investigation, healing, and light work continue to approach the unknown with compassion, wisdom, respect, and protection. We release all energy that is not meant to remain here. We call in peace, protection, and harmony for all who have joined tonight. Thank you. So it is, and so shall it be. Thank you all for joining me this evening. Thank you for exploring this topic with me. And if you need any guidance within the paranormal world where you feel like there might need to be some healing, you can reach out to me through Messenger, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Again, brave souls, have a beautiful night, and thank you for joining me.